here with Mark, Lazarius, Kelly, and Temple, and they are giving us a little bit of insight about college life and the transition from high school to college. When we left, we said that we were going to talk about the homesick part and how you guys have handled that. Tell me how that's gone for you, especially the newer ones.
Well, they kind of, like I said before, they really made me independent. So I haven't really been too homesick, but when I am, I'm only like an hour and a half away. So I go home pretty quickly, but my mom calls me every week anyway, so she knows what's going on. So it's never too.
Okay.
I don't get homesick at all. I don't even try to get homesick, to be honest. I mean, like you said, I was raised to be independent. So with me being independent, like, it's not like I have to call them to ask them for money or anything. I pretty much got it controlled on my own. It's not like I gotta call them for advice, because most times I'd rather just learn on my own.
Okay, so do all of you work?
Yes.
I don't work as a chemical engineer because it'd be too much on my plate.
Yeah.
Because I'm also like involved.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm a homesick baby.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag always homesick. But I would never get on the road that much because it's 6 hours away. So it's kind of like I just have to suck it up and just go on by my day. And I know, like, when I come home, I'm gonna come home. But
So I know your mom, and I've been with your mom, and you FaceTime maybe a gazillion times within an hour. Yeah.
Especially if she don't answer, because what you doing?
Yeah.
Your child calling you, you're not answering. Your child 6 hours away. You should want to talk to me. I want to talk to you. So yeah.
I really don't get homesick. Like, I know around the holidays, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go see my family. But honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I would say that I get more, I go to school in Conway, so I get more like Conway sick than I get homesick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's simply because I feel like when I'm at home, my life like becomes stagnant and real still. And I don't like that.
Oh.
I like to keep myself busy.
Mm-hmm.
And in Conway, I'm
I
busy.
100% agree.
So like when I'm in Conway, my body, it's like, I just know like, ooh, my body's like, I'm about to do something.
Mm-hmm.
I got somewhere
There's
to be.
always something
There's
to
always
do.
something to do.
That needs to be done.
That needs to be done. For real. So like, as far as like going to school or like, I need to make sure this program is, doing this and doing that. Like, I always have something to do when I'm in Conway. But when I come home, I know rest is good, but sometimes I feel like I'm resting too much.
Mm.
And it becomes like, I don't want to say depressing because that's a strong word, but I get like sad almost because I'm not doing anything.
So, very good point. And I didn't send this to you guys either, but I want to ask about that because I know that depression is real, right? And even whether it's you getting depressed or being around someone on college campus, that could be. And we did talk a little bit off camera about social media and how that plays a role into how people interact or how people bully or whatever the case may be. Would you guys seek the resources available to you on campus if you did feel real sad? I'm saying when it was to the degree that you felt like you really needed to reach out to someone.
So this has been a really tough year for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I started the year off rough, like January 4th type, like got hit hard with something that I didn't want to know, and I was literally depressed. Like, I didn't go to class. I wasn't eating. I didn't really call home like that. If my mom would call, I wouldn't answer. Like, I just didn't want to talk to nobody. And I feel like some people just have a different way of coping with depression.
No doubt.
Because like, I'm the person where like, I say I want to talk to somebody, but I genuinely don't. Like, when it's time for me to actually talk to somebody, I'm just like, I don't like. Like, I'm the person like, what can you do to help me? Like, how can you help me and you're not in the situation, you know what I'm saying? Or you haven't been through the situation. So it's kind of like, I'd rather just be in my room on my own and just sleep my depression away. Or kind of like, music kills me a lot. Like, I'm a very musical person. So like, if you, like, 9 times out of 10, Kelly all listen to music. Like, whether it's in the car, earbuds, anything. Like, I'm either going to be humming music. Like, this is just the way of me, like, just calming down. And so it's kind of like, people just have a different way. Some people do reach out with resources.
They do have a different way, and I think the important thing is that there's a way, right? And that you use whatever your way is. But you also made a good point, you know, and it could be that you are a go-to person for many people. And from what I know about you, I would say that you are. And I think when we, and because I'm including myself, when we're that go-to person for other people, we don't tend to reach out as much when we have something going on, you know. We tend to just be there for others. But I think what's most important is that you find a way. You know your way for dealing, because that would be important to me as an old person, as y'all call me, to make sure that you guys are okay when you're away.
And then it's kind of like also like you don't want to put like the stress on your friends.
Right.
And it's more so like when you're around your friends, you are quote unquote depressed or sad about something. You do want to cheer up and like get yourself together, because energy does travel. And I'm like the first to attest to that. Like when people come around with like bad attitudes or just down, it's kind of like, why are you here? Like, you could have stayed at home if you felt this way. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're in a good environment, people are having fun. It's kind of like the tension is turning towards you at this point. Like, dang, like what's wrong with them? And then the whole time while you're there, you have people who are wanting to be engaged and have fun ask you like, what's the problem? Now they're not in tune with what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like you just don't want to put that type of stress on your friends. Have your friends worried, and you know they're texting you, they're calling you every day, and it's just like, I don't want to talk about it. So it's kind of like just either deal with it on your own or go to somebody, like go to a counselor. But me preferably, I just bear my own.
So we talked a little bit about time management already, but knowing that you guys have total freedom now, you're away from home, you know, you can wake up and go to class if you wanna, you can decide to lay in bed if you want to. How do you manage your time, and what advice for the college students watching this or listening to this edition would you offer to college students, especially the new students getting started and trying to find their way about how they can find their way into managing their time?
I would say like the biggest thing like for like a freshman coming in is just like procrastination, and just like make you a schedule. You know your classes, go ahead and do it. Boom, done it. And then we can like go party, okay, go ride the scooters, whatever. Just like I'm such a big person on that, because like this semester, especially like in the middle, like October, November, I guess, I just really like became like lazy, and it's just like came too focused on like the activities in outside life. So it's just like, what am I doing? Like, this is not the type of person I am. So you have to really like know who you are, and it's just like you really see the type of people in college, like who they are or who they are going to be by how they act and their actions. Like, all right, I can miss out on that. It's cool. Like, there's going to be many more times for that.
You know, one of my biggest problems was always scheduling these real early morning classes, knowing I'm not a morning person, right?
Yeah, that's a joke.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh, but I need this class so bad. Oh, it's at 7:30. I can do it for one semester, you know, and I might do it for one class, and then I'm trying to drop the class.
And see, I had that mindset of when I got to school, I had an 8 a.m. my freshman year, and I just took it more so like, if I'm waking up for high school and middle school, elementary for school, you know, I go to school perfectly fine. Why can I just not do an hour? But then when you think about it, when you get in class, you really like, yo, I'm really sleepy. Like, I'm not listening to nothing this teacher's saying. I'm on my phone. Like, I'm not paying attention.
It's just a setup for, you know.
Because in school, you got to put your phone up. Like,
that's right.
You have to be attentive. And it's like, I could really walk up out of here. Like, ain't nobody going to say nothing to me. Like, it's really on me at that point. Like, do I want to make that A or do I not? And so I would just tell them, like, for one, do not take 8 a.m.s because you're going to regret it. Well, I ain't going to say you're going to regret it, but I regret it. It was definitely.
If you are not a morning person.
Yeah.
I think the key is, if you are a morning person, 8 a.m.
But see, I'm a morning person, but I'm not. Like, I can wake up, but I'm not up. Like, I'm not up to get out my bed to put on clothes. Like, I'll be up on my phone just trying to get myself together. But as far as getting up, having to put on clothes, go to class, in any type of weather, like, it's a lot. Because, like, now I live off campus, when it's raining hard, I'm liable not to go to class because I just feel like you gotta walk so much. Like, it's not even worth it. Like, get the course online or something. Or, you know, hit a friend up. But it's like, when you have stuff like that, and even with like the big gaps, like I say, get your classes back to back too, because when you have gaps like that, some people go home and don't come back to school. Like, those are like big gaps for nothing. So I really say those are like the two main things for college kids coming in. Like, early morning, big gaps. I fully agree.
I was gonna say, me personally, I'm pretty much different about that. So like I don't have a choice but to have early morning classes, especially
Like we know you're different.
like
We totally know that, right?
I mean, my classes, they have to be like 9
Yeah.
a.m.s and 8 a.m. So, like, my freshman year, I just went ahead and got started on that. And I set all my classes to start at 9 a.m. every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, just like with the planning, like I said, like just planning ahead. I know for sure I research my teachers. So, like, I don't take a teacher based on the time. I take a teacher based on what they have to offer me. And, like, what do they teach.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah.
one.
So like the time doesn't really matter to me. It's more so like if I'm gonna discipline myself to get the better side of my education, if I'm gonna pay for it, because like why am I paying for it just to get a bad teacher? So like timing isn't as important to me because I just feel like I will learn more in the teacher's classroom where they're gonna teach me more and they're gonna be more in tune with their students and they're gonna pay more attention to some of my teachers I take big lectures, so like some of my teachers, they've noticed, probably because I'm black, they notice me like they'll notice you out of like a whole group of people. And then like some teachers have even asked like, is everything okay or something like that, which sometimes everything wasn't okay, but like I just handled it accordingly and I just went ahead with it.
Yeah, definitely to like bounce off of that. It is important to see who's teaching what, because you can definitely tell who's passionate and who isn't.
Yeah.
And a passionate teacher is better than just a teacher who's just talking at you. I need you to teach me, not talk to me, because I can go to anybody and get talked to. So that is important. But as far as time management, I talk to students on academic probation, like that's my little job on campus or whatever. But she came into me, and I guess she thought I was older than what I was. I think she thought like I was, grown. But she was like, Miss Temple, I don't have time to do anything. And I was like, well, what do you mean you don't have time? There's 24 hours in a day. Like, you definitely have time to do stuff. And she was like, no, I got this and this and this and this to do. And so what we have in our office is like a big like time block sheet. And so what I basically do with my students who do have a hard time with time management is that we'll like write out their day, a typical day of, let's say, Kelly. What do you do at 12 o'clock? Do you go eat lunch or do you sleep? Like, what do you do? And so when she saw like all of the gaps where she's just like taking a nap or not doing anything, or she was a dancer, but she wasn't like a dancer for the school. She it was like a club that she was in. She was like, well, I spend like from 6 o'clock to like 10 o'clock just coming up with choreography. And I was like, don't you think that's a little bit excessive? I know that's something that you love, but you have to take, time out. Yeah, you have to prioritize your time. So with that being said, what I told her was like, maybe you need to go to the library right after class, because you're going to class and then you go to sleep and then you forget what you were supposed to do. And then you go, typically what she did was she would go goof off. But sometimes you just have to make yourself disciplined with time management, and you can't really, it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
So you have to find what works for you.
Yeah. So another thing, and I would imagine the two of you at UT Knox may experience this more so because of the size of the school. Having gone to Memphis State when, University of Memphis used to be Memphis State, and that experience of going to those big classes when I would say, because I did do nursing first. And especially when we had the student teachers, the students that were doing their interns and all of that, and the science, the chemistries and the biologies and all of that, many times there was a language barrier. And so have you experienced that anywhere you have to? Okay.
I didn't, because I teach my teachers, I pick my teachers like based.
Like you
It's
said,
like
you
so many
research it.
factors, like if they got an accent, I'm not taking them. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
And like if it's an understandable accent, so like I do have a teacher that was from Germany. He taught me differential equations, and I mean I completely understood differential equations. I barely went to class with. It was just because I was handling other stuff outside of that, so I also like prioritize classes. So like if I feel like a class isn't that important, then I'll miss that class to catch up on another class because you do get behind in your classes.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for me, it's mainly my profession doesn't necessarily consist of people with different languages.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because I was a part of journalism,
Okay.
and I felt like in order for you to teach that, you couldn't have had like a distinct accent to where kids would be able to understand. Because basically, that's more so like reporting. You're on television. Like if the child can understand you, then what are they learning?
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like kids who are in more so science majors have that issue, because I do have a couple of friends where like they're like, I can't go into the next course until I pass this lady. But if she has a thick accent, you can't understand her. It's kind of like you really have no other choice but to sit there and take her and try to decipher. And it's more so hard trying to decipher what a teacher says, because at that point you know that you're no longer learning. Like you're really trying to figure out.
That's right.
What is this teacher saying? Like you don't understand, so you're sitting here trying to figure out what her words are saying. But by the time you figure out the whole sentence, she don't know the
Moved
sentence.
on to something
Yeah,
else.
so it's kind of like I don't know. It's just I think it's more so just different majors have that. Different majors have.
Well, I'm glad to hear that nowadays. I think on what you're saying, that maybe you guys have some choices. You can do some research and you can figure out who's the best teacher and the best route. And I had that option. It was kind of like those were the people teaching those particular types of courses. So I would imagine that at this point in life, I know I still see peer pressure happening in my age bracket, and so I'm sure you guys do. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about peer pressure on the college life, and see what you guys have to say about that. We'll be right back on 94.7 FM, The Gospel Giant.